The sun is setting over the flower garden. Warm light is gently shining on the flowers all around. The flowers in the flower garden have had a busy day. Now, as night falls, it's time for the flowers to go to sleep. Let's visit each flower and help them get ready for bed. Good evening, Rose Garden. The roses are at their best in early summer and autumn. Though they have thorns, their flowers are so beautiful, and their fragrance is lovely enough to be made into perfume, making them very popular. Let's say goodnight to the rose garden and wish them sweet dreams. Tomorrow you will bloom even more beautifully, inspiring everyone who sees you. Goodnight, Rose Garden. Good evening, Hydrangea Garden. The hydrangea garden is filled with hydrangeas blooming from June to July during the rainy season. Everywhere you look, you can see beautiful, large hydrangea flowers. Often you can spot snails resting on their leaves. It's time for bed, so let's say goodnight to the hydrangea garden. When the rain comes again, your flowers will shine even brighter, bringing joy to all. Goodnight, Hydrangea Garden. Good evening, Satsuki. Satsuki and Tsutsuji are flowers that bloom from May to June. The small Satsuki trees are covered with many beautiful flowers. They are planted along the mountain slopes, filling the slopes with blooms. Can you say goodnight to Satsuki and wish them sweet dreams? Next spring, your blossoms will cover the mountainside, bringing new hope to the season. Good night, Satsuki. Good evening, Chrysanthemum Doll. The chrysanthemum doll is beautifully crafted from many chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums bloom in autumn, and many people come to see the chrysanthemum dolls. Now it's time for the chrysanthemum doll to rest and dream. Would you kindly say goodnight to the chrysanthemum doll to help them feel cozy? In the autumn breeze, you will bring warmth and comfort to all who see your beauty. Good night, chrysanthemum doll. Good evening, Tulip Garden. The tulip garden is filled with red, blue, and yellow flowers, making the garden look so beautiful. Now that everyone has gone home, it's time for the tulips to rest and sleep. Let's say goodnight to the tulip garden and wish them wonderful dreams. When spring returns, you will brighten the world with your vibrant colors once more. Good night, Tulip Garden. Good evening, Cherry Blossom Avenue. The cherry blossoms bloom from late March to April, creating a beautiful avenue of flowers. Many people come to see the cherry blossoms. But now that the cherry blossom viewing is over, it's time to sleep quietly. Would you softly say goodnight to help the cherry blossom avenue rest peacefully? Next year, your petals will flutter in the wind, bringing happiness to everyone who passes by. Good night, Cherry Blossom Avenue. Good evening, Orchid Garden. The orchid garden has been beautifully decorated with blooming orchids in pots. Orchids bloom from May to June. Now, it's time for the flowers to rest and for the whole orchid garden to sleep. Let's say goodnight to the orchid garden and wish them sweet dreams. Soon your delicate blooms will fill the air with grace and elegance once again. Good night, Orchid Garden. Good evening, Poppy Field. The poppies are the stars of the flower field. Everyone is captivated by their beauty. Now that night has fallen, it's time to sleep. Let's say good night to the poppies and wish them dreams of beautiful pictures. Tomorrow you will stand tall, filling the field with your radiant presence. Good night, poppies. Good evening, hibiscus. The hibiscus is a red flower from the tropics. Butterflies flock around the hibiscus flowers. Now that it's getting dark, it's time to sleep. Would you kindly say goodnight to help the hibiscus feel cozy? When the sun rises again, you will bloom with passion, inviting more butterflies to dance around you. Good night, hibiscus. Good evening, iris. The iris blooms in May. You can find many irises blooming by the water's edge. Now that the sun has set, it's time to rest and recover from the day's fatigue. Let's say goodnight to the iris and wish them pleasant dreams. In the morning light, you will bring peace to those who admire your reflection in the water. Good night, iris. Good evening, sunflower. The sunflower blooms in the summer. It always faces the sun. Now that the sun has set, it's time for the flowers to rest and dream happily. Would you help the sunflower settle down and say goodnight? Tomorrow you will stand tall and strong, always reaching for the sun's warm embrace. Good night, sunflower. Good evening, dandelion. The dandelion is a flower that blooms in spring. Now it's time to rest and recover from the winter's fatigue. Let's say goodnight to the dandelion and wish them sweet dreams. In the coming spring, your seeds will fly far, spreading new life and hope across the land. Good night, dandelion. Good evening, hyacinth. The hyacinth is known for its fragrant blooms. Now that night is coming, it's time to rest. Would you help the hyacinth relax and wish them peaceful sleep? With each new bloom, your fragrance will fill the air, bringing calm and joy to all around you. Good night, hyacinth. Good evening, cactus. The cactus may have prickly thorns, but it still blooms beautiful flowers. Now, it's time to rest. Would you help the cactus relax and wish them a peaceful night? When the desert sun rises again, your flowers will shine like jewels amidst the sand. Good night, cactus. Good evening, pansy. The pansy is a flower that blooms in winter. Thanks to the pansies, the flower beds are still beautiful, even in winter. Now that the sun has set, it's time to warm up and rest. Please stay close to the pansies and wish them a peaceful night. Even in the coldest days, your colors will continue to brighten the world. Good night, pansy. Good evening, viola. The viola is a flower that blooms in winter. It blooms for a long time, from winter to spring. Thank you, viola, for blooming, even in winter. Let's say goodnight to viola and wish them sweet dreams. When spring arrives, you will still be here, filling hearts with joy and beauty. Good night, viola. Good evening, lupinus. Among the flowers that bloom in spring, lupinus is especially beautiful and highly regarded. Lupinus flowers are admired by everyone for their elegance. Now that it's night, it's time to rest. Let's say goodnight to lupinus and wish them sweet dreams. Soon you will color the fields, filling the air with hope for the season ahead. Good night, lupinus. Good evening, rapeseed field. The rapeseed field is filled with yellow flowers as far as the eye can see. It must feel nice to be surrounded by so many blooming flowers. Now that the sun has set, it's time for everyone to go to sleep. Let's say goodnight to the rapeseed field and wish them a peaceful night. With the new dawn, your golden fields will shine even brighter, filling the world with light. Good night, rapeseed field. Good evening, wisteria trellis. The wisteria trellis was busy today, beautifully decorating itself with flowers. The flowers have made the trellis look stunning. Now, it's time to rest under the completed wisteria trellis. Would you kindly say goodnight and wish the wisteria trellis sweet dreams? When you bloom again, your cascading petals will create a magical path for all who visit. Good night, wisteria trellis. Good evening, Nemophila. Nemophila was gracefully skiing down the snowy mountains. It looks like they're flying with the speed they were going. But now it's time to forget about skiing and go to sleep. Let's say goodnight to Nemophila and wish them sweet dreams. Next season, you will glide effortlessly once more, bringing excitement and beauty to the slopes. Good night, Nemophila. Good evening, Cosmos. The cosmos is a flower that blooms in autumn. The cosmos sways beautifully in the autumn breeze. Now, it's time to rest and recover from the day's fatigue. Let's say goodnight to the cosmos and wish them a wonderful tomorrow. With the wind at your side, you will sway again, bringing peace and calm to all who watch you. Good night, Cosmos. Good night, flowers of the flower garden. The flowers are resting peacefully, recovering from the day's activities. The shooting stars and the gentle breeze play a soothing lullaby. Now close your eyes, and together, let's have sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, little ones. Good night, flowers